بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسول الله. واذكر في الكتاب إدريس إنه كان صديقا نبيا ورفعناه مكانا عليا. Was read today in today's Taraweeh very beautifully by our respected Hafiz Maulana Aakil. The Prophet Idris alayhi salatu wasalam's name is mentioned twice in the Quran. Once in Surah Maryam, as read today, and the second time is mentioned in Surah Anbiya. Inshallah, we're going to read that tomorrow. Ismail wa Idris wa Dalkif kullu min as-sabirin. Which Allah Azza wa Jalla says, remember Ismail, Idris, and Dalkif, all of them were from the patient ones. With fil Kitabi Idris, remember the Prophet Idris, mention was made of Idris in the book. إنه كان صديقا نبيا, he was a truthful prophet. He was truthful. إنه كان صديق, he's a Siddiq, and he's a Nabi. وَرَفَعْنَاهُ مَكَانًا عَلِيًّا, and we raised him to a lofty position. Now there's a discussion amongst the Fasirun. What is meant by Makan Aliyah, that we raised him to a lofty position? So there are some scholars who actually said that Idris alayhi salatu wasalam, he was raised to the heavens, and then there his soul was taken by Allah. His soul wasn't taken in this world. He was raised to the heavens, like how Isa alayhi salatu was raised. But Isa alayhi salatu is still alive, right? He's going to come back. But he was taken there, and then in the heavens his soul was taken. Wallahu. But regarding him, he's from the early Anbiya alayhi salatu wassalam. And it's quite interesting, his life story. It says that Idris alayhi salatu wassalam, he's the one. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he taught Anbiya alayhi salatu wassalam certain things. And that is how we as human beings were able to understand and learn how to live and learn how to progress and develop, etc. So it says that along with conveying the religion of Allah, he was the one who taught the methods and ways of running cities, civilization, and city life. He gathered students from each level of society and taught them the principles and laws of governing cities. And when these students qualified and became experts, they then returned to their respective tribes and towns, etc. He was the first person to initiate philosophy and astronomy. Allah Ta'ala taught him about the composition of the cosmos, the points of joining and separation of stars, and the underlying reason behind their mutual attraction. He was also a scholar of mathematics. It says that Idris alayhi salatu wasalam, his teachings, of course, as we discussed today in Surah Lam Yakun, that all Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam, they call towards the same thing. Tawheed, oneness of Allah, the messengership of following the Prophet of the time, life after death, concept of accountability, etc. So it says that from the teachings of Prophet Idris alayhi salatu wasalam, the essential teachings he taught were belief in Allah and His oneness, to worship none other than the Creator of the universe, to make good deeds a shield against the punishment of the hereafter, to turn one's attention away from the world, and to be mindful of justice and equity in every matter, to worship Allah in the prescribed manner, to remain pure and clean, to keep fast during the Ayyam al-Bid, the 12, 13, 14, 15 per every month. And that's something that our Prophet ﷺ taught us as well, and that's a really, really good thing. Remember, there's one friend of mine. They asked him, he's very health conscious as well, right? They said, he said, well, I stick to the prophetic principles. Monday and Thursday I fast, and I fast the 13, 14, 15, whatever. And he says, mashallah, it works wonders in the body as well. So one is a spiritual, and one is, mashallah, the physical benefits that you get. Idris alayhi salatu wasalam, he also taught to wage jihad against the enemies of Islam, to pay zakat, to be particular about abstaining from filthy things, and to abstain from every intoxicant. It says that he was a very tall, handsome man, had a dense beard, and there was an elegance in his complexion and facial features. He liked to remain silent, composed, and reserved. He would lower his gaze when he walked, always in thought and reflection. and would become extremely angry when occasion demanded it. He had a ring. So in those times, even afterwards, many of the Khulafa had rings, and this would be their seal. And they would have something engraved on it. So it says on his ring, he had the following printed. الصبر مع الإيمان الصبر مع الإيمان بالله يورث الظفر. الصبر مع الإيمان بالله يورث الظفر. That patience accompanied with Iman and Allah is a cause for victory. There are beautiful statements that he's mentioned also that's been recorded. One statement of his is that it is beyond man to thank Allah for his countless beauties and favors. He also said, sincerity of intention is a prerequisite for Allah's remembrance and good deeds. So in other words, that if we can do all good deeds and remember Allah, but if we don't have sincerity in our intention, then we're not going to benefit. It's not going to benefit us whatsoever. He also said, wisdom is the life of the soul. Wisdom is the life of the soul. He also mentioned, do not be jealous by the prosperity of others, because this happy life of theirs is temporary. How beautiful that is. Do not be jealous by the prosperity of others. We don't need to look at what people have, right? Because this happy life of theirs is temporary. It's temporary for them, it's temporary for us. So let's not look at what people have and become jealous. And then the last is amazing. The person who hankers for more of the essentials of life can never be content. The more you want in this world, you'll never be content. Prophet said that if the son of Adam has one body of food, want another. And the only time that he will be happy is where the dust, the dirt of the ground goes into his mouth. So subhanAllah, this is a great prophet of Allah. I decided to mention him here today because he's not a prophet that you often hear about. Well, don't hear about him. He said the Quran mentions him twice. But the Quran speaks for his great position. And all of these great prophets, it's essential for us to we follow, we love them, and mashallah, the beautiful advices we bring into our lives as well. Allah Ta'ala grants to understand. So we love to them.